Welcome back to Finding the One. We didn't know what we were going to talk about, but now we do because we just filmed the first half of the episode and we have to start again.
Yeah, because we had technical difficulties, which tells us that this is something we really need to talk about.
Okay.
So let's do it.
So,
We're going to talk about sex.
you have to sing the song again.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about sex.
That was way better than the first one.
Let's talk about sex. All the miserable people on YouTube don't like that we actually have fun.
Yeah, someone commented that it was very impolite that you brought up our sex life last week.
Oh, yes, very impolite.
Impolite.
Yes. Well,
which is the very thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So
that
this is
very
gonna be,
energy.
This is going to be an impolite episode for the two of you. You know what that is, baby, is that sex is taboo for a lot of people because of our society, our parents, our religion. And the energy of guilt and shame that has been placed around the topic of sex, the energy of guilt and shame that we were programmed under when it came to our own bodies, exploring our bodies, touching our bodies, sharing our bodies with other people. Like, religion in particular has just flat out lied. Like, here in America, like the story of Adam and Eve is a flat out lie. It is the beginning of the lie. It's the beginning of the lie that makes the woman wrong, makes her feel pain every month that's a lie. It's the beginning of the separation of masculine and feminine energy. That's a lie. It's a beginning of this lie called sin. That's a lie. And so, like, when you awaken and you plug yourself out of these stories, like, you're free. And for people that are not free, like you talking about, or just being free, just you being free, forget about what you talk about, just you being free, you laughing, you being in the kind of relationship where, like, you could say whatever, it brings a mirror to their inability to feel free, and they project what they're feeling onto us, though we don't accept it. But it's the same thing that happens with a little kid that is going into their teenage years and wants to explore the topic of sex.
And to be honest, this is exactly the thing I've been like focusing on and exploring over the past couple of weeks, which is how much guilt and shame there is around sex, and how, as the feminine collective, it's not necessarily our fault we feel all types of weird ways about sex, be it that's something we shouldn't talk about, that's impolite, that's awkward, that's embarrassing, that's whatever it is. It's because, like, that's what the collective has taught us to think about sex. I mean, for me personally, I realized this week, like, I couldn't even like stand naked in the mirror and look at myself. It was too embarrassing.
Yeah, yes. Time out. See, this is deep. And this is why I have such passion for the work that we do, because for many of us, this was me too. For many years of my life, I would look in the mirror and feel shame. By the way, if this resonates to you and you are watching on YouTube, I want you to stop and just comment, because I want you to see how many people are living in this. If you feel shame with yourself and with your body, trust me, you feel shame in other areas of your life. You feel shame with life in itself, and therefore you cannot possibly find the fullness of pleasure and joy that is available for you in life, in your relationship, with your partnerships, with your money, with your life's purpose. You're blocked because you're living in the frequency of shame. So this is big. Like, and you're a beautiful woman. And like, I know you know that, but like, I remember you even used to tell me, like, one of the things that caused me to fall in love with you was that in a world where women have been told that their value is on the outside, I remember I always used to think, I want someone who's beautiful but doesn't know they're beautiful. And like what I meant by that, I want someone that's beautiful, but that like doesn't put their value on their physical appearance. And I remember when we met that you used to tell me like that because you were seen for your exterior, you kind of hid that and you always wanted to be seen for what was inside. What was that like for you?
Well, this is like I suppose they do blend together nicely, but it really is the energy of I've never been able to actually feel beautiful. Because how can you feel beautiful like in your very skin, in your body, if there's so many layers of shame around it? Like you physically like don't feel free in your body. And I feel like I'm just going to say it because fuck it, I'm just going to say it.
Yes.
But I feel like for a lot of little boys and little girls, like a lot of their shame starts when they start to become sexual as little boys and girls. And it's very confusing, that time in your life where like you start to like self-explore and you feel like mortified about it. Like it's something that you do in your bedroom that like no one needs to know, or like you would be like terrified if like your mom and dad found out, or your religion found out because masturbating is a sin or whatever it is. But that's like where this energy of shame starts to grow.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So then you just have like layers upon layers upon layers of that. And then you get into your teens and you end up like having sex for the first time. And like, you know that it's kind of naughty or wrong and that maybe you shouldn't have because you have to wait for someone special and the whole thing. And you don't wait for someone special. And then
Now you're bad.
I didn't fucking wait for someone special.
Neither did I.
Disaster. And I understand the theory behind that, of course. But what happens when you don't do that and you do end up having sex with someone, you feel
terrible. You feel shame.
So shameful.
Yeah.
And that just perpetuates.
You know, and I'm going to say, and I want to get back to like naked in the mirror, but I want to say as I want to say, as I'm thinking about this, like you also feel powerless. You know, you don't feel in your own power, because how could you be in your own power if you're ashamed of the thing that created your life?
Yeah, like you can't even look at your like willy or vagina in the mirror because like that's mortifying.
Yeah.
But it's not mortifying.
It's not. It's a lie.
Beautiful.
Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. Okay, you guys got to understand this. Every religion, let's just start with religion. Okay.
Of course you want to start.
Well, because I fucking hate, it's like, I hate it. Because once you know the truth, you realize that every religion is essentially the epitome of darkness. It's the epitome of keeping you in a state of waiting.
But for a lot of us, Danny, it's not religion. It's just like the social, cultural norm that keeps us trapped.
Yeah, but baby, religion, society, it's all one. It's that frequency of the 3D world.
I know
it's the Matrix.
I know, but when you say religion, a lot of us don't resonate with that because it's not. Some of us do, but a lot of us don't because we weren't brought up in like religious households, but we still feel this immense amount of.
But you were.
What?
You were
brought up in a religious household.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the messages from religion that cause me guilt and shame.
What do you don't think in some way, shape, or form the energy of religion, whatever it is, somehow permeated into the mind of the lineage of our families and then brought down onto us and had anything to do with the shame that we felt around this topic?
Yeah, I do.
So that's where it begins.
Okay. Please continue.
I mean, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Like if you were born out in the forest and you live with two hippies that like cultivated their own organic vegetables and lived by themselves and didn't live in large cities or whatever, and truly lived in the frequency of love, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No.
They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is my body. Like I can do whatever I want with my body.
Yeah.
Because you're out in nature, you're out by yourself. You're not living under the energy of like these rules, right? And so every religion has a certain set of like rules, right? A certain set of, and if you break these rules, then you are a bad person and you go to the fiery pit of hell. By the way, this is a lie. This is called guilt through manipulation and fear, right?
Yes. And what I'm saying is society in general, yes, filtered through religion, but society in general also has these set of unspoken rules
Sure.
that it might not be a direct impact like in our lives from religion. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to frame it so everyone understands the conversation.
So let's call it the collective consciousness then.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So the collective consciousness when it comes to sex is one of shame.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think what we want to get across more than anything is that if there is any shame around sex, please understand that there is a blockage energetically in your life because sex is the very thing that creates life and created our life.
I'm going to go even more on that is what I'm coming to realize is like for a woman, her power, her innate power is in her
pussy. Say it. Yes. And for a man, it's in his dick.
So
it's right here.
Okay. We understand. we understand where your dick is, Danny. Thank you.
Well, wait, how come you could say pussy and I can't say dick?
You can say dick. It was that you needed to show everyone.
Well, you literally went like this. You literally rewind. I want to rewind. That one proof.
But for women, it's like the light bulb's in, but the light's not on because we are so disconnected from our feminine, now I'm doing it, feminine power. That like, how could we possibly, how could we possibly be ourselves? How could we possibly be our true, authentic, powerful, strong individual selves when we're not switched on?
From the portal of creation.
Literally, if you can't take a mirror and look at your vagina and not feel shame or guilt, something's
a problem.
Off. And I would have been the first one to be like, no, that's embarrassing. I'm not going to do that. Like, what are you talking about? I would have been the first one, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I fucking get it now.
How would it show up in intimacy? Because now you have a before and after.
Well,
were you free to feel sexy? Were you free to feel?
I don't think I've ever felt sexy in my life until this week.
Okay, wait a minute. You mean to tell me you, a beautiful woman who is successful, who is bright, who is smart, who is kind, who is loving, you have never felt sexy in your entire life until this week?
No, because I don't feel comfortable in my body. So how could I possibly feel like powerful or sexy if I'm not free? Okay, God, I've got too much to say.
Say it, baby. This is good.
If I can't stand in the mirror, and I keep going back to the mirror because what else reflects back to us apart from relationship? If we just want a reflection of ourselves, we look in the mirror. If you can't stand in the mirror and move your body freely because that makes you feel uncomfortable, if you can't dance freely, this is why dance is such a sensual practice, because it's you fully being in your body and allowing free movement, allowing free expression of the body, right? If you can't do that, there's a blockage. So then if you can't do that, how are you meant to get into a situation where you're with a partner and move freely in connection with your partner, right?
100%.
Because if we really think about it, sex is just like two energies, two humans dancing together.
That's right.
So if one person feels awkward, it's going to be an awkward fucking dance, isn't it?
Speaking of fucking, I remember the I remember that they were I remember that well, I remember there would be moments. There would be moments where like I wouldn't maybe want to necessarily have sex. Right?
Yes.
This is just, sometimes you don't want to. This is called normal. But I could tell you would. And you would like but like you would stop yourself. Like I remember feeling in my mind, like, okay, if she just like keeps going and tries a little harder, like yeah, okay, I'm down, like obviously, But I remember being like this. I remember being like, let's see how far she's willing to take this. And like you would just stop, baby.
Yeah.
You and I felt, like when you're awake, you feel energy. You could feel what is going on inside of your partner. And I remember, I would bring it up. Like, what were you feeling?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I was, it's really deep because I didn't feel confident or comfortable, number one, touching you, because if I don't feel confident and comfortable touching myself, how can I feel confident and comfortable touching you, right? Like, how am I going to find the true beauty of like another human being if I don't see it in myself? It's like physically almost impossible.
Energetically impossible.
Yeah. I understand from the mind.
Sure.
That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, obviously you can think someone else is beautiful and not yourself. I don't mean that. I mean like energetically, like how can you really worship someone else and see the beauty in someone else, like the deep, depthy beauty, if you don't see it in yourself? And two, I think I was so disconnected from my own power that I had a lot of fear of rejection.
Mm.
So it would be like if I tried to, let's say, put it on you and you didn't want to,
then you would take that severely personal.
Yeah. I'm actually getting another download right now, which is also 3. I was so fucking confused in my own sexual energy that I probably myself didn't actually, not probably, I know that I didn't know whether I did or didn't want to. Because for me, when I got myself into a sexual situation, I sometimes enjoyed it and sometimes didn't. So I didn't know what I was going to get. Because sometimes like shame and guilt would like fucking hit me in the face and I'd be like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I want this to stop. And I like couldn't express myself. And sometimes like that wouldn't be there. So I would enjoy it. So I think I was very sexually confused.
I feel like I say this every week, but this is why we have so much passion for the work that we do.
Yeah.
Because last week you mentioned being in a straitjacket. But guys, that's a fucking straitjacket. And if that's showing up in sex, how is that showing up in your relationship? How is that showing up in your ability to communicate? How is that showing up in your business, in your financial life, the way you run it? And watch this, baby. If I were to ask you, out of 10 women or friends or whatever that you know intimately, how many of them are dealing with some sort of an issue with disconnection from themselves sexually, or they have some sort of physical issue, some sort of an issue with sex? Out of 10 women,
I would say like a good 9 out of 10.
And if the women of the world, because that's what you're saying, 90% of the women in the world are dealing with some sort of a sexual issue, disconnection. Well, then the women of the world are disconnected from their heart. And if the women of the world are disconnected from their heart and the women are the heart, guess what that means about the world? The world is disconnected from its heart. The world is disconnected from love. I want to say this sensitively. Please hear what I'm saying. Like, the problem is so deep that you have been told that your value is based off of how you look and how beautiful or not beautiful you are. And then that's a whole nother issue, because many of you judge yourself based off of the world standard for beauty. So then women are out, not seeing themselves as beautiful. That's a whole nother issue. But this is what I love about you, babe, is that here you are, someone that the world sees as beautiful. But the issue is not the life is inside. The issue is inside.
What sparked like a lot of changes that have been happening in our lives is this reconnection with plant medicine. And like, in order for me to uncover these parts of myself, this was like some deep, dark, scary, cried for a whole week in Danny's arms.
It was rough.
I mean, I went through a large death portal last week.
For those that don't understand what that means, what does that mean?
When a part of you realize a part of you is just a part, and you start to peel back that layer and all this stuff comes up that makes up this layer, let's say, and you finally are able to, like, you could say, strip it away or alchemize it. Because a lot of the time it's not like, I see this thing, I see you, like, I'm going to let you go now. It's like not as simple as that. It's like, how can I see this energy and frequency in my life that I've been living with? And how can I transform it into a new energy, into a new frequency, so that I don't live with this, like, this one, sexual shame or guilt anymore.
From the outside looking in, there was a good week where every night you were crying, you were scared, petrified, you were getting headaches, you were like, there was a lot. It was a massive death.
Yeah.
And you've heard me, many of you don't just listen to Finding the One, you listen to the higher self. You've been to Awaken. You've heard me say that a new life cannot be born without the death of the old one. And everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And so, both of us recently have reconnected with the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It started with you. Do you want to share that journey a little bit?
Yeah. It was my friend. I'd been feeling really cool to cannabis, which is very odd because I never really smoked when I was younger, like recreationally. I've never really smoked recreationally at all. But it was just kind of kept like popping into my mind. And this is what tends to happen with the medicine. It just like arrives in the brain and you're like, hi. And then my friend said to me, do you want to do like a ceremony, like a ritual with cannabis? Yeah, sure. And it was never something I knew could be done in ceremony. So we went through our little ritual and I had like a big opening of like memories that I didn't remember. And particularly about, I had this great grandma who was a terrifying woman. A terrifying woman, and I was always so scared of her as a little girl. And Yeah, and I was just feeling that fear. I'm gonna go off topic now. Can we go off topic of
Oh, you
sex?
can do whatever you want.
Okay. I was feeling this fear as a little girl, like in my home, seeing this scary. She was scary because she wore loads of like dramatic makeup.
Mhm.
And also because energetically, she was obviously scary. And as a little girl, I was so confused as like why this woman was being called family. Like, why am I meant to like love this person? I thought we meant to like love our family. But as a child, this woman is terrifying. And it brought up a lot for me about how I have been so focused on keeping Selena's boundaries safe and secure. We're so adamant that like no one touches her if she doesn't want to be touched. She doesn't have to go to, like when parents hand their kid over, like go to auntie, blah, 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 but they don't want to. So I've been so focused on this idea of like keeping Selena's boundaries safe. And in this journey, I realized, shit, but like, have I been keeping my boundaries safe? Like, do I feel safe and secure in my own skin? Because if I don't, doesn't matter what the fuck I do for Selena, she just carries like my frequency. She just interprets my frequency. We're still so intertwined with each other. And it was such a huge moment of, it's like this feeling of like, can you hold the fort down for yourself? Can you hold safe space for yourself? Or are you always relying on like friends, family, a partner, someone else to be like, it's okay, you're going to be okay, everything's going to be fine? Because that was me.
You would literally tell me, "Just tell me it's all gonna." She would literally tell me, "Just tell me it's gonna be okay," and I'd be like, "It's gonna be okay."
Yeah. So in one breath, I'm like, no one touches Selena. But on the other hand, I'm like, but Danny, tell me I'm going to be fine. But all Selena picks up is the frequency of
It's you.
me.
That's right.
So the action is one thing, but the energy is something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, throughout that week, there was some things that come up that I don't personally like feel ready to talk about. But there were things that came up for me that were really depthy and scary and confusing. And to sit with those feelings for me is so difficult. I'm like, if something's wrong, I need to clear it now. But to sit in the pain and to be okay with the pain and to hold space for myself so safely. Because even though I appreciated Danny's, like, it's going to hug me at night and to like stroke my head and tell me everything's going to be okay. Like, I really was zoning in that week on how safely can you hold this space for yourself? Like, you need to know what to do for yourself.
What's really interesting, guys, I think we're gonna have to have a part 2 next week.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is what I will share, because there's some things that I'd like to share about what happened to me as a result of what was
Of
happening to
this.
you. This where you guys, it's like when you're in, like the right energy in your relationship, you literally become healing for each other versus like blockages for each other. She starts this process, and immediately I get called to the medicine as well. And one of my deepest, darkest, like I've done a lot of work, you guys know this, but there was still stuff that I was going through where I was afraid to be me. And I knew I had awakened the next day. It was a Wednesday, and I said, baby, I'm clearing my schedule. I have to journey. And I did the same. I journeyed with cannabis, a plant medicine that I didn't realize you could use, and if done correctly in this way. And I had a journey that was so powerful. It was like ayahuasca.
Mm.
And I realized that all of the fear that I had been carrying wasn't even mine. It was my dad's.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, from the top of my head, just pulled all the darkness out. And if you ask anyone what was this last awaken like, this was the best awaken we've ever had. Like it was just, you could feel the love. You could feel the breakthroughs people were having in a different way. And and that led to that moment between us, which we definitely will wait till next week, where I said, I know who I am, with tears running down my face. It was really powerful. Should we answer questions?
Let's do it.
So we're going to try something new. Each week, we're going to answer your questions live on Finding the One. So if you're not following the Finding the One Instagram account, go follow that account right now. And the first 2 or 3 people who pop up and request to join us live, we're going to answer your questions. So we're going to do that right now for the very first time. Let's see how this works out. Guys, this is the Finding the One live. And we want to know, what are your relationship questions? If and only if you have a relationship question, ask us to join the video. We're actually filming the podcast right now, and we'd love to help you in your relationship questions. All right. So get ready with your relationship questions. Let's see here. I'm going to pick someone up. I'm going to pick Donna. Baby, you doing okay over there? We might just have to answer people's questions like here as they scroll. Donna isn't joining. Okay. You guys are not helping the situation very much.
This was Danny's great idea.
This was my great idea because I like connecting with humans. I just invited Karen on. How do you get your man to lead? Okay. Karen, how are you?
Good. Hi, guys. How are you guys?
We're doing great. What is your question? How can we help?
So for me, I'm currently not in a relationship. My last relationship was ended 2 years ago. So for me, I'm in a space where I fully love and accept myself. So I am ready to maybe accept somebody new into my life. But the question is, I'm shaking, I'm nervous.
That's okay.
My question will be how to go about it. Like, how would I know? I feel that I'm already ready to actually be in a deep, committed relationship.
Okay.
Like, I've always been ready, but sadly, I haven't chose the correct partner. Well, I'm not gonna say that because obviously they came for a reason to teach me something. But now I feel that I've learned, and I've learned to love completely and without any.
You're ready now. So now you're ready for a relationship, basically.
Yes.
How do you pick the right one? Right. All right, here we go. Baby, as a woman, you want to answer that one?
How do we go about picking the right relationship? I feel like we only call in to our lives the energy in which we have inside of us, right? So we only attract from the energy we're already vibrating at. So if you can feel like fully trusting that you will call in whoever you need to call in to teach you the lessons that you need to learn, then you can just trust that you don't need to know the how, like the 1, 2, 3. You can just trust that whoever next crosses your path will be the perfect person to teach you the lessons.
Or sometimes they're the one before the one.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily, we call this show Finding the One, but finding the one is truly because the only one that really stays with you forever is you. And whoever else comes into your life is simply to teach you and to mirror back to you the lessons to learn.
You see, I think that's where most people have the issue. I think that most people don't realize what is actually happening in relationships. Even when you go through a hard relationship, you have to understand. It's like people say, "Oh, I had a hard journey with ayahuasca." There is no hard journey. The medicine is just reflecting back to you what is going on inside of you. So if you could look back at all of your relationships from that lens, and you can ask yourself, Like, who was I in that relationship? And what did that relationship teach me? Why did my soul attract that relationship? Sometimes it's hard because there's some hard things going on inside of you, right? And the only way that we can ever break free and attract someone to actually love us is when we love ourselves enough, is when we look back at those relationships and go, I now see, I'm no longer a victim. I now see why that relationship came, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you. Like, thank you for the pain, because it's what got me into a place where now I know exactly what I want. And it's interesting, baby, but before we met, you were on a beach in Mexico and you literally wrote out what you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. And I had written out what I wanted. And so I think that's the key. Like, get clear with what you want. So clear that you're willing to put everything on the line, and you're willing to not settle until you get that thing. And I'm not saying that thing externally. I'm saying what is it? What does that person
Feel
what is
like.
it going to feel like to be in relationship with that person? How seen, how loved, how safe will you be? And I think that's your answer. All right?
Got it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Bye-bye. Well, that was pretty good. You want to keep going?
This is like Danny in his element.
She
by
feels
the
so.
way.
This is me in my element. I love this. So I'm ready to do more. Let's do more. Let's see who else. Who else do we have here? We have, okay, there's a bunch of you here now. Let's go with Andrea.
Hi.
I know you. You were just at Awaken.
I was the one singing Selena.
You were singing Selena. That's right.
What an incredible experience. I'm still on a high from it.
Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for the courage of following your heart and showing up to do, you know, some of the deepest work that a human being can do. Thank you. Thank you. So what's your question?
Yes, and Jen, thank you for yoga. I can't wait for your project to launch.
Thank you.
Yes, my question is, I have been married for 3 years. I started my healing journey about 2 years ago. How do you navigate being married and you being on a healing journey and maybe your partner not being on the same page, but kind of remaining on the same spot? It's hard to explain, but like.
No,
I get that.
no, I get that. Yeah, baby.
Recently, this is so interesting because recently I felt like we were both stuck in a spot, in our own spots. And recently I just decided, like, I can do all this finger pointing at Danny of he does this and he does this, and I can continue to criticize all the things that I feel like he does wrong. Or I can drop all that shit and I can go all in on my own healing and just trust that the energy of my own healing and the higher my vibration gets, either Danny is going to feel that and rise, or he's not. And
either one is okay.
And we would not be energetically aligned anymore. And I feel like that's what tends to happen.
Yeah, but hang on. You guys gotta understand something. On the flip side, like, I was like 3 years ahead of the journey, like, before I met Jen. So like I remember like, for me, there was a while where, like, she would go through things and I would see myself going. I would remember in my journey when I was going through that very thing, which gave me a lot of love and grace for her. Like, so my answer will be, listen, the journey is not about what your partner does. The journey is about how can you learn to love your partner, whether they're on their journey with you or not. Yeah. Because the journey, why do we heal, guys? We heal to return to love. We heal to return to oneness with God. So God wouldn't judge your partner because they haven't started the healing journey. That's what I'm trying to say. God would find love for your partner and go, oh my God. Like, I remember when I was right there. I remember when I was scared to go to awaken, or I remember when I was right. That would be step number one. And then step number two, there is something to be said about, when you go all in for yourself and eventually you see that maybe your partner just doesn't want anything to do with it, well, then that's a different story. And that's where you get to go, okay, time out. Maybe this is not for me anymore. But until then, until the medicine here for you is to let go of the story of he's not where I need to be and love him regardless. That's the medicine that's in front of you right now. Go through that medicine first. All right?
Absolutely. That's kind of what my intuition and my love for him was kind of already doing. And this just, thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll see you at the next awaken. Because once you go to one, it's like it's game over.
100%.
Awesome. We'll see you.
Thank you. Bye.
Walter Reyes. All right. Walter. You're on. We have a guy.
Hola, buenas tardes.
I remember you too. How are you, brother?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. What's your question? How can we help?
You might have just answered it in the previous call, but knowing when enough is enough kind of thing. When you feel that your partner is attached to the negative bias, committed to it, but you know their heart wants to heal. I trust that
No,
space is the best space, but go ahead.
I don't think those two coexist. I'm gonna explain to you. Like, when the heart wants to heal, the heart is open to healing. You said the heart wants to heal, but they're committed to like the negative bias. I don't think the two things coexist. Like, you guys want to get into a space where even when you're on the healing journey and your partner maybe is not ready for it, at least they're open, they're receptive, they're encouraging to you, they're not getting in your way, and then listen, man, at some point in time, I will say, like, as the man, I think you're being called to lead. I think you're being called to, if this is a situation that you're in with your relationship, I think that you're being called to lead and to set healthy standards for the energy in which your relationship lives in. And I would say, baby, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say, like, if I were to come to you and say, baby, look, I love you, but like, this is what I think is not only important to me, but it's important to our family. It's important to the children that we're about to create. And, I love you enough to tell you the truth. Like, this is what I value in my life. And, if you don't, that's okay. But I don't think there would be a space for us to be in relationship anymore. Like, what would you do and how would you react to that?
I feel like you just answered your own question, because it's if there is an openness and there isn't space for giving the other person grace and understanding what journey they're on, or love for that journey, even if it's something that you're not interested in, then that's personally like not a partner I would want to be with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How about, I'm inspired a lot by David Dick, his book, The Way of the Superior Man, and how the divine masculine holds space for that feminine to evolve in her interpersonal journey, managing herself, dealing with her own trauma, and have the masculine man. I mean, the way he paints the picture is hold, kind of like that Braveheart scene, right? Where they're about to get attacked. Hold now! Like, it kind of has that vibe in the book. I believe in that. I don't know if I'm mistaken in doing that, but that divine masculine man, like, I feel she has a beautiful heart. 20 years with a narcissist, 2 years out of that, she's doing work, she tries, she's improved. So, but a lot of times, the negative bias comes in. In the last 2 weeks, there's been a major shift where I actually had to ask, I want to know what's happened, because I almost feel like you flipped the switch and you're coming in with love, affection, appearing, and there's a small part of me is like, how long is this gonna last? But I'm holding my own space, my truth. I'm honoring my self-love. I'm honoring to the best of my ability my divine masculine. And I feel like there might have been a shift in the last couple of weeks because it was just one of those kind of talks where I was like, look, I love myself too much. I have a divine purpose. I'm here to help mothers and fatherless sons. I'm going to give that more energy than I even give you. I'm going to be really committed to my path, and that might look different between us. And ever since that conversation, I still don't know exactly what happened, but there's been a lot more positivity, a lot more love, a lot more positivity. It's just been really lovely. So does that have a lot to play into it? How I'm showing up?
Well, yeah, because what happened is you started to lead. Can I tell you what's coming up for me right now? I want to invite all of you to drop the labels. I want to invite all of you to drop divine, masculine, feminine. And this is the guy that like I talk about this stuff. And brother, like just be a loving human being. That's it. Because we're so in our ego is so conniving and so tricky that it will find ways to like entrap us and like, am I being too masculine? Am I being too feminine? Is it my divine? Is it me que se esto, que se lo otro? And it's like, at some point you just have to tell the ego, shut the fuck up. And what do you want? Do you want this woman or not? Yes or no? Answer that. Okay, well then I don't think we have anything to talk about because you want this woman.
Yep, I agree.
That's it.
Labels really messed up, and you talk about the ego, like it weaponized my purpose against me. It weaponized my love for humanity, where I built something and it just somehow, some way made it about money. And I'm like, wait, I'm deviating from my purpose. So
Yeah, that's not love. That's not love for humanity. That's something else.
yeah, no, it became something else.
Yeah.
This was months ago, but
Yeah.
I recognize it.
Awesome, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it's enough.
You think it's enough?
Yeah.
All right. That concludes this week's episode of of Finding the One. Next week, we're going to go a little bit deeper in this. And if you guys want to get your questions answered, make sure that you follow the Finding the One account because that's where we're going to be going. I think we'll leverage my account for a little bit more, and then we're only going to be going on the Finding the One account. We'll be going live there. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.